Hey guys, what's up? My name is Sai and this is my top 5 favorite shows of the summer. Let me just start this video off with a disclaimer. I am not going to include Netflix shows and online shows because I have not watched them all yet. I'm not afraid to admit that. I'm a bit behind on my online viewing with Netflix and so on, so I'm not going to count it. Not to mention, it's a bit unfair because a lot of people can't really access those kind of shows, so I'm just going to focus on the kind of shows that everybody can see whenever they feel like it. So, here we go. Number 5, Scream, the TV series. I'm a little bit ashamed to admit that I like this show. First of all, it's an MTV show, and that's just something I'm not really comfortable with liking. And second of all, I'm not a huge fan of slashers. I find them a bit predictable, repetitive, and dull. But in a way, those reasons why I dislike slasher flicks are also why I actually really like this show. Because it's so aware that it follows the same general formula as a slasher flick that it will straight up have a character predict what happens next and be 100% accurate about it. In fact, this show is just so meta. It even has that very same character tell you that a TV show based off of a slasher flick makes absolutely no sense. And I just think that's great. I love how meta it is. I just love shows like that. They always make me smile. But at the same time, that's not the only thing I like about it. It also is pretty good with suspense. I'm always wondering who's going to die next. Is it going to be someone who I don't like, or is it going to be a character I actually do like, which there are a surprising amount of them. I thought typically in slasher movies, I kind of hate everyone besides the main character, which is another reason I don't like them. I feel nothing when a character dies usually. But in this movie, it does both. It kills characters that you love and it kills characters that you hate. And it just has that mix of satisfaction and just horrible depression. Another thing that I'm actually impressed with is that I cannot predict who the killer is. Normally in movies like this, it's so easy to just guess who the killer is, and that's just another thing that makes them kind of boring. But in this one, there are a few people who I actually think are pretty viable candidates to be the killer, and that's, for me, that's pretty impressive. I'm usually really good at guessing that kind of stuff, but I'm actually just like, it could be one of these three people. I want it to be that person, but it's never the person I want it to be. Another thing I like about it is that I can't really guess 100% of the time what's going to happen. And for me, that's actually pretty rare in TV shows and movies because usually they're just, especially slasher flicks and anything based off of them, they're usually just so predictable. It's so easy to guess who is going to be. But in this one, it could actually be a number of people and it would make perfect sense. And that's just, it's so rare for me to just wonder like that. It's usually just like, okay, it's that person. But in this show, it's like it could be one of these three people, but the stereotype is usually that it's that guy. I hope it's this person, but it's never the person I want it to be. Every single time, it's my favorite character. Every single time. Number 4, Odd Mom Out. Do I really need to give a reason as to why I like the show other than it makes me laugh? Like I always say, a comedy needs to do nothing more than make you laugh, and it does. But it doesn't only just make me laugh. At the same time, I feel like it also gives me although somewhat exaggerated, accurate impression of what it's like to live in a super high-class, wealthy neighborhood where the richest of the world live, and all of the pretentiousness and stupidity that comes with it. You see, the show is about a woman whose family is just wealthy enough to live in one of those super high-class neighborhoods, but not so rich that they properly fit in with them. They're kind of on the borderline of middle class and wealthy, and because of where she sits on the social hierarchy, she doesn't really fit in with the normal middle class people and the upper class people. So she's just kind of on the borderline, and because of that, I feel like we get a unique perspective, but not so unique that we can't see that world through their eyes and be able to relate to her about how we'd feel about that. And I just had a lot of fun watching it. I did not think I would the first episode I saw. I don't usually like shows like that, but I just enjoyed it a lot, and that's the only reason you actually need to watch it. Now, this is where the list gets kind of tricky. Any of the top 3 could be number 1, depending on how I'm feeling that day. But these are the kind of shows where for every day that they're not on, you eagerly anticipate the next episode, and you just can't wait for it any longer. Number 3. Suits. Now, Suits is on season 5 already, and if you haven't seen it yet, what the hell are you waiting for? It is such a good show. You really need to watch it, like, yesterday. It's basically about a former law student who got kicked out of law school for selling drugs because his friend pressured him into doing it, and basically a lone wolf lawyer who takes a lot of risks, finds out about his talent, and hires him anyway. And it's basically about the cases that they take on and the suspense of will they be found out, won't they be found out. And it just continues on from that. The relationships that form through this, and so on. And it's just so good. It's funny, it's dramatic, it's suspenseful. It's just a really hard show to hate. I've never met a single person that did not at least like this show, if not totally love it. The characters are just so likable. The interactions between some of these characters are just some of the best I've ever seen. There are a few things I like more than watching the two main characters of the series get along. Their back and forth is just so fun to watch, and the story is interesting, the plot, the suspense. They somehow make Court interesting, which has been done before, but is still really hard to do because, in case you haven't noticed, Court is boring. That's why nobody likes to be on the jury. The gist of it is every single episode leaves you wanting more, and that's just something that every single show should aspire to be like. Number 2, Tyrant. I love this show. When the first season started last year, I saw it and I loved every second of it. When the second season got announced for this summer, I was so excited. I couldn't wait till it started. Basically, the show is about the son of a Middle Eastern brutal dictator who escapes to America because he's not okay with what his family is doing in his country, and he just tries to escape from it all. But eventually, he has to go back for his nephew's wedding because all in all, he does love his family. But suddenly his father dies, and then there's whole political upheaval, and everything is going crazy, and they can't leave. And the main character is just forced to be involved in it all, and he feels that after seeing exactly what's happening in his country, he feels that he has to do something about it, and that leads to a whole bunch of situations, and it's just perfect. But the thing that I love most about this show is that the line between good and evil is so damn blurry. And let me just say, I love it when you can watch a movie or show and feel something for the bad guy other than intense disgust. I hate it when you just feel nothing for the bad guy or you just only hate him. I like it when they show a human side to the bad guy, like maybe a mafia boss that kills people during the day, but when he comes home, he's a loving father and husband, and I just love stuff like that. And in this show, you can't tell who the bad guy is, or even if there actually is one. If anything, the bad guy is the situation. And even the good guys in this show a dark side from time to time, and I just love stuff like that. At first, it seems like the brother may be the bad guy, but then you quickly see that he loves his family just as much as the main character does, and it's just. And he wants to be a good guy, but he was raised in a messed up situation, and everybody's in a messed up situation, and that leads everybody to do horrible things, and everybody to want to change this, and they try to change this, and things just go back and forth, and things get intense and suspenseful and dramatic, but not in a horribly annoying way. And it's just so well done that even though I normally hate shows like this, I have to give it praise. I love this show. Every episode, I eagerly anticipate every single episode because I want to know what's going to happen to these characters. I really, really do. And oh my god, it's just so good. Before I get to number 1, let me just say Hannibal should be on this list. Somewhere in this list, from somewhere in the top 3 probably, but I have not caught up with it. I saw the first season and then just completely forgot to see the rest. I forgot to catch up. I saw none of the ads for it. For a while, I thought it was canceled, actually. And then I heard how amazing it was, and I just haven't had the time to catch up yet. I will very soon. Maybe I'll make a review on it. But I know that it's a really good show, and it should be on this list. The only reason it isn't is because I don't really know anything about what's happening yet. But it's a good show. And if you want another show to see, that's one you should see. Number 1, Unreal. This is the show. Out of all of these shows that surprised me, I thought I would absolutely hate this show. I thought it would be one of the worst shows I ever saw, but it's really, really good. I've never really seen a show where I have both loved and hated all of the characters at the same time as much as I do for this show's characters. They're almost all of them. They're almost all of them horrible, horrible people. But at the same time, you can't help but just have a little bit of affection for them. Just watch a show and go, oh, you're all scumbags, but, it's okay if it's you. Basically, it's about the producers. Basically, it's like a backstage view of a show. Basically, it's like a backstage look of a show, a dating show like The Bachelor and fuck. Basically, it's like a backstage. Basically, it's like a behind this. Basically, it's like a behind the scenes look of a dating show like The Bachelor and The Bachelorette, and all the horrible things that the producers do to the people on that show to make them do entertaining things. And it's just the fact that the producers have gone on record and go, yeah, it's basically exactly like this, just adds a whole new level of love for this show. The fact that it's actually accurate, and it's just, I love it. I find it so hard to explain, but I love it. The main character of the show is one of the executive producers' favorite producers. It's like her golden child who had a meltdown in the previous season that we don't get to see, and she's back to make up for it. And the entire time, she's acting like she shows intense remorse for all the horrible things she's doing, but you're not really sure if she's actually serious about that remorse or if she's just saying she does because she thinks that she should. Like everybody else is like, you actually love doing this, don't you? You secretly love this, and you see that she does take some pleasure when she does manage to successfully manipulate someone, but at the same time, she also shows a bit of shame in doing that, and you're just not sure what she feels more of, shame or pride in doing what she does. This is just another really good example of a show that when you see one episode, it leaves you wanting much more. It makes you want to see the next episode as soon as possible, and sadly, that's just not the case because it's weekly. Alright guys, that's my top 5 favorite shows of the past summer. Hopefully you guys agree with me, or if you don't agree with me, feel free to leave a comment respectfully leaving your opinion, and maybe we can talk about it more. And if you just haven't seen these shows yet, you should definitely get on it because they're all good shows. Nobody will argue with you there. Even if it's not their favorite, I'm pretty sure almost everyone, if not everybody, agrees that these are all good shows. If you enjoyed this video, please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more content, and peace out.